It's March, and we've got a great new addition to one of the most popular new CCGs, an update on a story that we brought you last time, and a look at one of the most influential women in the history of sci-fi fantasy on this episode of Geek Room Update. Hello, Internet. I'm Jason, and I'm the owner here at the Geek Room Hobbies and Games in Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Geek Room Update. It's the beginning of March, which apparently means that spring is just around the corner. I hope. Anyway, on this episode, we've got some great new game news for you, as well as an update from last weekend's Kill Team tournament, and maybe a hint about the next one. And a little bit later, I'll be talking about the GAMA trade show that's coming up next week. But first, I wanted to start things off with an important announcement. Now, because I will be at the GAMA trade show all this week, in fact, I will already be there by the time this video is uploaded, it's going to affect the hours in the store just a little bit. We will be closed all day on Monday, March 11th, and our late night gaming that we normally have until 1 a.m. is also going to be affected. This Friday, on March 15th, we will be closing at 9 p.m., and this Saturday, March 16th, we will be closing at 11 p.m. Now, of course, these changes won't affect our regular hours once I get back, which will be on Sunday the 17th. So starting that day, we will be back to our normal hours. And of course, the weekend after that, we will be open until 1 a.m. for late night gaming. I just want to make sure I got that out of the way before we got any farther. So with that done, let's go ahead and move on to the game news. Let's start things off with our legally mandated Games Workshop update. Next week, on Saturday, March 16th, GW will be releasing a new box set for Warhammer 40,000, and it's perhaps the most significant box set that they've released since 8th edition launched almost 2 years ago. The new battle box is called Shadow Spear, and it is the first box set that GW has released since the original Dark Imperium box back at the start of 8th edition that contains all new minis. That's right, every single miniature in this set is a completely brand new sculpt. The set features 2 armies. Brand new are the Primaris Vanguard Space Marines and the Demonkin Chaos Space Marines. Now, I know I say this a lot, but these new sculpts look absolutely phenomenal. It seems to me as if with each army GW releases, they are really upping the bar on the level of quality to their miniatures. In addition to the large number of new miniatures that come in the box, you will also get 2 mini codexes, one for each faction. Now, Mini Codex is kind of a misnomer in that, while they don't cover the full armies, they do cover everything that you will need for the miniatures included in the game, including lore, hobby tutorials, and the game stats. It also includes a new mini campaign sourcebook that will advance the Vigilus campaign story from earlier this year, as well as a slimmed-down version of the core rulebook. So if this is your first foray into the world of 40K, everything you'll need to start playing is included in this box. Not only that, but the first 5 people who buy Shadow Spear here at the Geek Room will also get free data cards covering the 2 armies that are in there. Again, Shadow Spear will hit store shelves on Saturday, March 16th. Moving on to RPGs, on March 19th, Green Ronin Publishing will be releasing their new RPG, The Expanse. The Expanse is based on the popular novels by James S.A. Corey, which was also adapted into the popular Sci-Fi, now Amazon TV series. The Expanse is set in a near-future world where the United Nations of Earth, the Mars Congressional Republic, and the Belters from the Outer Planetary Alliance vie for control of valuable resources and technology across the solar system. The Expanse uses Green Ronin's adventure game engine, which was also used in such role-playing games as Fantasy Age and Modern Age. So if you're looking for a new sci-fi RPG set in a rich and exciting fleshed-out universe, then be sure to check out The Expanse when it hits store shelves on March 19th. Moving on to board games, there are a lot of games out there that ask you to save the world, but CO2 Second Chance takes it to a whole new level. In CO2, you will play as the CEO of an energy company that is tasked by the government to try and keep pollution down while filling requests for sustainable green power plants. This new version of the game is an entire redesign of CO2, featuring new iconography, a totally redesigned rulebook, more balanced gameplay, and improved game mechanics and play pieces. You can try your hand at ending climate change by grabbing your own copy of CO2 Second Chance, which is available in stores now. Now, last episode, I had mentioned that USAopoly had been granted a license by GW to create branded versions of the popular Talisman game. They did announce the first version, and while it's not Harry Potter, it is something that I think is going to be pretty cool, and that is Talisman Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is a series of RPG video games co-produced by Disney and Square Enix, the makers of Final Fantasy. The story, which is honestly way too confusing to try and explain here, is set in a world where human Keyblade masters fight alongside popular Disney characters such as Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy across many different worlds based on Disney movies, for reasons. Now, no release date has been set yet for Talisman Kingdom Hearts, but USAopoly did say they wanted to release 2 different branded Talisman games this year, so you can expect that it should be here within the next few months. So if you're a fan of Talisman or of Kingdom Hearts and you're interested in this game, be sure to keep an eye out here and we will pass on more information as soon as we have it for you. Moving on to CCG news, Fantasy Flight Games announced the first addition to its popular KeyForge trading card game, and that is KeyForge Age of Ascension. Age of Ascension adds 204 brand new cards to the 166 cards that came with the original KeyForge. And the really cool thing is that this is not an expansion or a sequel, but a companion, which Fantasy Flight claims means that you will not actually need to replace your existing KeyForge decks to remain competitive. There will also be a new Age of Ascension starter set for KeyForge. The new starter set comes with 2 Age of Ascension decks, paper play mats, tokens, and counters, as well as the rules to play KeyForge. The neat thing is that because they removed the fixed starter decks that came with the original KeyForge starter set, the price has actually dropped a little bit for this one. There's no firm release date yet for Age of Ascension, but our rep at Asmodee says that he believes it'll be sometime in second quarter, so keep an eye out here and we'll have more info for you on Age of Ascension soon. Moving on to in-store gaming news, last weekend we had our first ever competitive tournament, and that was for Kill Team Arena. Now, the tournament was a lot of fun despite the weather being a factor. It was delayed a week because of the blizzard, and then of course it snowed again this Saturday, but the folks that did show up had a great time. Matt walked away with first place for his absolutely dominating Deathwatch kill team. In addition to the gold medal and a $30 gift certificate, Matt also received the first ever name on our store's permanent champion trophy. Our second and third place winners, Josh and Antonio, both marched to victory with Harlequin kill teams, and Josh also won the best painted kill team for his blue and purple murder clowns. Now, despite the weather being a little bit of a factor in attendance, we did have pretty good turnout, but there were a couple of people that were noticeably absent, and they were for reasons that were beyond their control. And I just wanted to take a moment to give a little shout out to them. One of them was Michael, our reigning Kill Team campaign champion, who is out of town because he is on deployment with the U.S. Air Force, and I suppose national security is a valid reason for missing a tournament. The other is Jeremy, another one of our Kill Team regulars. He was originally signed up for the tournament, but when we had to delay it a week because of the blizzard, suddenly the tournament conflicted with him recuperating from knee surgery. So, on behalf of all of the rest of the Kill Team regulars, I just wanted to tell Jeremy that I hope he is feeling better and he's getting plenty of rest and we can't wait to see him again soon. I also wanted to remind you that the Omaha Pathfinder Society will be sponsoring a Pathfinder game here in the store. That game will be on Saturday, March 16th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. They will be playing the PFS Scenario 10-12, Breath of the Dragon Skull. And there is a link in the description below to an RSVP page that they have set up where you can not only reserve your seat, but also read a full description of the adventure. One last kind of cool announcement about in-store gaming, and it relates to the GAMA trade show, which I'll be talking about here in just a bit. But one of the things that I know I will be coming back with is some very special KeyForge decks. These are decks that are GAMA trade show exclusives, and while every KeyForge deck is unique, these are a little bit more unique because they will be branded for the Geek Room. We're going to be using these decks for a very small sealed deck tournament after I get back. So if you're a big fan of KeyForge, or perhaps even a big fan of the Geek Room, and you want to get your hands on these exclusive Geek Room KeyForge decks, then keep an eye out, and hopefully in the next episode we'll have a date for you for that tournament. As our regular viewer of Geek Room Update will no doubtedly tell you, I like to end each episode with a little something from the wider geek world, even if it doesn't necessarily pertain to gaming. Now, we all know the most popular sci-fi fantasy franchises and the men who created them. Things like Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek, George Lucas with Star Wars, Stan Lee for Marvel Comics, or George R.R. Martin with Game of Thrones. But this past Friday was International Women's Day, so I wanted to take this time to highlight the work and contributions of a woman who was co-creator for one of the most iconic and certainly longest-running television series in sci-fi fantasy history. It's a show that's near and dear to my heart, and that is Verity Lambert, the co-creator of Doctor Who. Verity Lambert was born in London in 1935. She started working in television in 1956 as a secretary at Britain's Granada Television before moving on to the British network ABC, where she worked her way up from secretarial work to production. While at ABC, she worked for famed producer Sidney Newman on shows that included early episodes of the classic spy series The Avengers. After moving from ABC to America to work for producer David Susskind for a year, she returned to England and went back to work as a production assistant at the BBC. In 1962, Sidney Newman moved to the BBC as the new head of drama, and in 1963, he asked Lambert to be the showrunner for an educational science fiction series he had created about a crazy old scientist who travels through time in an old police box. While Newman created the basic premise for Doctor Who, the show is widely considered to be a short-lived kids series that no one really took seriously. That was until Lambert got involved. She was the youngest producer at the BBC at the time and the only female producer. As showrunner, she had final say on all areas of production, including casting, scripts, the theme song, everything. Doctor Who premiered on November 23, 1963, and was initially a ratings disappointment, mostly because the news was dominated by the assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy the day before. After the first episode was rerun before the second episode, ratings did improve, but it wasn't until the show's second serial that introduced the iconic Daleks that Doctor Who became the huge cultural phenomenon we know it today. She helmed Doctor Who for the first 3 seasons, and 55 years later, the show is enjoying a second golden age. Lambert continued to work in British television for many years before moving on to produce feature films, such as 1988's Cry in the Dark starring Meryl Streep, a dramatization of the famous Dingo Ate My Baby incident from Australia. In 2002, she was awarded the Order of the British Empire in the Queen's annual New Year's honors. In 2006, the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Chicago had this to say about the impact of Doctor Who co-creator Verity Lambert, quote, "She is not only one of Britain's leading businesswomen, but possibly the most powerful member of the nation's entertainment industry. Lambert has served as a symbol of the advances won by women in the media." Verity Lambert continued to work until her death from cancer in 2007. In 2013, as part of the 50th anniversary celebration for Doctor Who, the BBC produced a docudrama telefilm called An Adventure in Time and Space that is about the creation and early years of Doctor Who and the lives of Verity Lambert, Sidney Newman, and William Hartnell. If you're a fan of Doctor Who, or if you would like to learn more about this amazing woman, then I highly suggest that you check it out. Before we go, one last thing, I did want to talk a little bit more about the GAMA trade show I mentioned at the top of the episode. I will be gone all week in Reno at the Game Manufacturers Association show for 2019. In fact, I'm there right now if you're watching this as soon as it's posted. If you're not familiar with the GAMA trade show, it's kind of like a big con for store owners where we get to meet with publishers and distributors about all of the neat new gaming stuff they've got coming out over the next year. I'm really excited to go. This will be my first time, and I am taking my handy-dandy video camera here with me. So, hopefully in our very next episode you can tune in and see highlights from the floor, such as new products that will be coming to the Geek Room, as well as things like what the folks at Game4 have in store for us. You should definitely check that out. But that does it for this episode of Geek Room Update. Again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. We really do appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time to watch our episodes. If you've enjoyed it, please feel free to like or subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, my name is Jason, and I'm the owner here at the Geek Room Hobbies and Games. And until next time, happy gaming, everyone.